99 series. This is something I talked about doing the other day. And because these sisters are in town, I said, why don't we just get them on in here? And they're here to crack of dawn early in the morning with us. And we appreciate having them both here. We met them Friday, Thursday?
Wednesday.
Oh, my God. I'm days off.
It's because every day is 100 years in this administration.
It does feel like that. Spreadthevote.org.
Yes.
Is okay. Spreadthevote.org is here with us. Kat Calvin is here. Good to see you again.
Thank you. So
in
great
person.
For you to, I know, it's exciting. I didn't think it.
And we had you on early in the morning. You were kind enough to come on at the crack of dawn out on the West Coast too, so that was impressive. You have another guest here. Please introduce.
So with me is Christina Sanders, our amazing Texas State Director.
With the really hip Twitter handle.
Yes.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Tell everybody your Twitter handles.
Oh, I am the Polichick.
The Polichick.
Yes.
I like that. Polichick. So, and folks, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, so you can see these two lovely young ladies and hear about the work that they're doing. Spreadthevote.org. For those of you who may have missed us last week, this effort, the work they do, is all about getting, I don't want to say it right, is about getting people the necessary voter ID in order to vote. Am I saying it the right way? Is it voter ID or photo ID?
Photo ID.
Photo ID, that's better.
Yes.
It's photo ID. Because at the end of the day, this benefits in other places.
Exactly.
And like you're able to buy groceries.
Exactly.
Just can't buy groceries without
I mean, they check your ID before you get a banana at the Trump grocery store.
Groceries, you got to buy groceries. So they need money, though.
True.
To make this happen. So we're going to try to raise some money for them. And I want all of our faithful listeners to help out in this effort to help raise money for this incredible group of people. Spreadthevote.org. So people who are listening and want to send money right now, how do they do it? They go straight to the website, right?
Mm-hmm. You can go to spreadthevote.org/donate. And you can either, just make any donation. We also have a monthly subscriber club called Hamer's Heroes after the amazing Fannie Lou Hamer. And so you can donate, $5, $10, $20 a month and be part of our subscriber club. And there are a couple benefits on there. So you can find that on our website.
So now, do you all have a text to donate thing too, or no?
No, but we should.
Oh, okay.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Write that down.
That always helps. What, and folks, call us now. We just to kind of get this going, to do a little call and response. Since we're celebrating the life of Aretha too, let's do this like we're doing it in church. I need people to call in now and make pledges right now to this organization and make donations. 866-99-SERIOUS, 866-997-4748. Call us. We'll say your name on the radio, all of that. Because we talk about this whole ID thing, and some of you would call me and said, well, maybe we just need to get everybody their IDs. Okay, well, that's what Kat and Christina are trying to do.
That's what we're trying to do.
Right. And so we got to fight it on one hand, but on the other hand, address it. And so that's why they're here. So please, ma'am, please, sir, your donations are important because your donation can help someone actually exercise their right to vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
Practically, how many people you think you've helped so far? How many people have you actually made a difference in terms of?
We started getting IDs in September. We've gotten over 250. It changes every day. We got 2 more yesterday, so I never have an exact number. I just in one chapter yesterday. And then we have another 300 or so in the pipeline.
Now in Texas, Polichick. You mind if I call you Polichick?
No,
I like that.
It's your new name.
What's the ID situation in Texas? Because if I have my gun license, I don't need an ID, right?
No, you can vote with your gun license.
I brought my gun license. Okay.
Yeah, but don't have a student license and try to vote.
No student ID.
Student ID.
Right.
So in Texas, it's probably one of the strictest, if not the strictest, voter ID situation. And unfortunately, with the last court ruling, this is the first time that it's full-fledged that they're going to officially require the ID for everyone. And so, you know, we're going to be learning a lot this election, this November, specifically when it comes to those that are impacted, students, not just at college, but in high school. There's like 1 million 18-year-olds or young people that turn 18 in Texas every year. And so a large percentage of them, or many of them, don't come from families that may have their birth certificate readily available or keep up with documents, things that we have to go find for them. If you're starting school in August and the elections are in November, it's a process to get these IDs, to order them. Not to mention, it's such a challenge for kids to even get an ID because they don't have proof of residency. They don't have light bills in their name. They don't have different IDs that you need in order to get an ID in the state of Texas. And so that really is a situation, and I think we're going to learn a lot this year about what the challenge will be like. But for students who don't have gun licenses, they're definitely going to have hurdles if their families don't have the means to get everything they need.
See, if I was an 18-year-old, I'd be slick. I could see Brittany doing this too. That's why her eyes looked up about being 18. See, we was still kids. Like, I need my mom and dad. I need a car,
Well,
so I can vote. So I need to get a car so I can get my driver's license. I tied right to a vehicle. That's right.
Yeah, you know what? You would have been a pretty slick 18-year-old. But one of the things that we found, and so I before I was lucky enough to find Christina, I'm in March and April sort of was living in Texas and launching Spread the Vote there and going into high schools across Dallas and, you know, sitting in senior civics classes and asking the kids, how many of you have ID? And in a class of 30 kids, maybe a third would raise their hands because kids aren't getting driver's licenses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even when I was in high school, my public high school didn't offer driver's ed, so we had to pay for it. And I was raised by a single mother, and it was expensive, but she was like, you are going to be the main drivers. We're going to make this happen.
Yeah.
But cars are expensive. Schools aren't providing driver's ed
Right,
anymore.
right.
You know, insurance is expensive, all these things. So kids just aren't getting driver's licenses. And now you've said this on the radio, maybe they'll start realizing telling their parents they need to vote is a good way to get one. But they're tough and they're expensive for a lot of kids.
Yeah. That's part of the challenge. So Christine, you were saying this is the first time in Texas that is fully in place.
And it's going to present a problem or concern for a challenge for college students as well, because and I know a lot of people say, oh, your ID, right? But actually it's a privilege at this point to have an ID. It's a luxury. Everybody doesn't have it. If you're a foster child and you're in college at Prairie View A&M University, and you live in a place that doesn't even have a DMV, and you may not have all of the documents you need, then you have to figure that out. And if you're from Texas, can't afford the actual ID at that point as a college student, then you might not be able to vote. And if you're from another state and you're in Texas and you don't go get like the certificate, you also, for the first time, won't be able to vote. And it's just a new challenge, specifically, I think, for students in Texas high school and college.
866-99-SERIES, 866-997-4748. Your questions, especially in your specific state, ladies and gentlemen, if you got questions and concerns. But we want you to make pledges to this great organization for the work they're doing. I admire these sisters. I admire this organization. This is critical. This could make a great deal of difference in terms of getting people to the polls, getting them out to vote. Kat Calvin with us, and Christina, the polichick, also here. 866-99-SERIES, 866-997-4748. Frank's in Pennsylvania. Frank, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. Go right ahead.
I guess you're advocating no type of ID at all.
No. Shut up. They are. That's
really polite.
They're getting ideas for people. Racist Frank. They're getting IDs for people. So why would you say we're advocating no type of ID at all?
I asked a simple question. Okay, and you
are you listening to the show? Are you listening to the show? Are you because we know who you are. Are you listening to the show? Listen, man. You all have done everything you can to suppress the vote through voter ID.
How?
And photo ID. So they're addressing it. Frank, you're getting what you want. People are going to get photo ID, and they're going to help people get it. You support it, right? Do you support?
I support
then
ID
all right,
yes.
then you give me some money right now. Give some money right now. Put your money where your mouth is. Will you
Why?
pledge some money to
Why
this
should I put
organization? Yes or no?
I'm not going. I'm not going to support. I'm not going to support an organization when people should have the responsibility to go out there on their own accord if they want to vote and they want to put people in office that are going to represent them. They should have enough moxie in themselves to go out there and get an ID.
It is a poll tax. It costs money. Some people can't afford. Kat, will you
not a
address that,
poll
please?
tax.
I mean, for me, I
Shut up, Frank. Be respectful and listen. Go ahead, Kat.
when I hear people make this argument, I just feel so I'm happy for them that they've never struggled in their lives and have always had everything they
do you
need.
mean I
Have
never
always
struggled?
had
You know
Frank,
I
money.
shut
never
up and be
struggled in my life.
shut up and be respectful. You're talking over this young lady. Shut up. Go ahead.
Just because certainly for those of us who have hit rock bottom, who have needed help in order to be able to restart our lives, we understand that a cost of $40, having to find documents, have to deal with bureaucracy when you're at rock bottom can be tough. And so I think, when people don't get that because they've been fortunate enough to always have everything and to never need help, that it's just, I'm so glad for them and hope that they are able to at some point open up their hearts and minds to realize that some people do hit rock bottom. 21 million eligible voters in this country don't have photo ID. It's a hard country in which to be poor.
Yeah, but according to Frank, 21 million
it's not
21 million
hard- it's
people,
not a hard
21
country to be
21 million
poor.
people are
You gotta-
irresponsible. So Frank,
you don't
21
wanna
million
listen.
people in the country are irresponsible, right? Frank, I tell you what, let's just
you
resolve
don't
this.
wanna listen.
Why
No,
don't
no,
you
no.
get
What do you mean
because
it's
we don't
hard?
need to
I grew
debate
up-
this
I grew up-
anymore. I am helping
you
you.
won't let anybody
We're
talk
helping
because you're so
people get.
ignorant.
We're helping
Right?
people. Of course, I'm
You're
ignorant
an
because I'm black.
ignorant man.
Because I'm black.
You're
Because
an
I'm black.
ignorant man.
No, I'm not ignorant.
No.
I'm very smart,
Yes, you
and
are. You
these
will
young
always try
ladies
to
are
overtalk
smarter than
everybody
me
because when you know
because
that
they
you can't argue the point,
addressing
you just have to
the
keep
issue
talking and talking
that
and
you
talking
have raised.
because you can't argue the point.
There's nothing to argue. We're getting photo ID. You want to have an argument where there isn't one.
No, she just says it's going to cost $40.
It does. It does, Frank.
It's an average of $40.
It does, Frank. Costs money. You're stupid. You don't understand that. It costs money. It's not
Then
free.
You have to go pay for it if you want to elect people to represent you. Maybe even turn down that $40. Then you will earn the $40. I paid.
Well, I think
you know
one
what?
of the keys that you're missing is that you can't legally work in this country without government issued photo ID. And so that's the big problem. And that's why one of the first things people say to us when we help them get an ID is I can apply for a job now because you can't work without one. So you can't earn that $40 because you don't have the ID you need to get the job to earn it. And so that's where the gap is. And that's a big place where we're helping.
Are you serious? Are you that uninformed that you're making that statement that people aren't working in this country under the table, repeatedly illegal in that you can't come up with $40?
But Frank, that's not. But see, Frank. But see, this is an example. This is I did because you're not. We're not on subject. We're staying on subject. I know, Frank. We know what you are.
You can't argue the facts. You can't argue the facts.
Frank, the fact is we are getting people
off.
photo ID, and you're still not satisfied.
I am satisfied.
Then give money to this organization. Give money to the organization
then.
then.
I'm not going to give a dime to this organization.
Huh?
Right? On something that you should be doing on your own. You don't need an organization.
All right,
to do
so
this.
Frank, you're going to help us raise a lot of money. Frank, this racist devil you all wants everybody to have photo ID, but he don't want to help them get it. So, all right, Frank, go to hell. 866-99-SERIOUS, 866-9, they go straight to hell, nonstop, on an express.
You're my favorite person.
Thank you. I'm sorry to act ugly in front of y'all, but you know, these devils want us to have ID. You all are getting it.
I mean, and that's the thing that sort of always cracks us up is we're complying with the law. Like that was my thought was, all right, you
And
want
you're
people to have
helping
ID,
people who otherwise
look at them,
cannot afford.
and they can't. You
to
can't
pay.
work without one.
It
And
costs $40, and then that's just $40 for the ID. We talked about it the other day because you got to go pay for the birth certificate.
right, and that's why our average cost is $40 is because IDs, depending on the state, are $25 to $34, but we have to pay for birth certificates, which depending on your life situation. You can't walk into Vital Records without an ID and say I need a birth certificate because you need an ID to get one. So we have to go through this sort of long roundabout, kind of expensive process to get someone a birth certificate because they have to go through a whole separate verification process, right? So we have to pay for that, and that's more than $40. And then, we've criminalized homelessness. So we work with a lot of people who have lost their documentation because the cops cleared a homeless camp and threw everything away, or they were in a shelter and, their IDs were stolen or lost, and then they get fined for sleeping on a park bench. Well, when you get fined for something like that, they block your ability to get an ID until you pay the fine. But you can't pay the fine because you can't get a job to pay it. So there's just so many added costs.
And then what, Christina, if I'm living in Texas but I wasn't born there, and I can't just go to walk in the Vital Records office in Texas. I got to get my birth certificate from another state. Boom.
Yeah, yes, and it's a big deal in a place like Texas because you have so many people that aren't born necessarily in America that may not have their access to their ID. But we actually have a case that, we had a case in Austin where the guy, he needed to get his birth certificate from California, but California wouldn't release his birth certificate without an ID or some proof. So getting something notarized, but you have to have an ID. Well, the Texas Secretary of State told us you have to have an ID to get anything notarized in Texas. So he didn't have an ID to get it notarized to even get it, which were the only two ways to get it from the state of California. Luckily, amazing volunteers and people that, love Spread the Vote reached out to Kat, and we were able to figure out, legally, yes. I think the notary told us, yes, you can verify it other ways. But it's a challenge if you don't have access to your birth certificate, and if you're not from Texas. It's hard when you're from Texas already, what you have to prove in order to get it. But I think the concerns about, vets, even when they're born here, I unfortunately assumed that they get an ID for their whole lives. No, they don't. And there's so many homeless vets. No, you don't get a military ID.
We've had to help a lot of vets
your whole life. You don't. And I didn't know that.
You hear that, Frank? Even the veterans need it.
And there are a lot of vets that, and the gentleman in Austin happens to be a vet. There are a lot of vets that don't. It's just they don't have ID and they don't get it for free from the VA or anywhere.
And so in Texas, they can't vote.
No, they cannot vote.
If a veteran, military veteran doesn't know how they have ID, they cannot vote. 25 minutes past the hour. 866-99-SERIOUS. Spreadthevote.org. Make your donation. You can help someone get the photo ID that Frank wants them to have but doesn't want to make a donation to pay for it. All right? So, Al's in Texas. Al, who's in Texas. Amen. I'm sorry, is that AJ? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, AJ. The regional director from Texas, spreadthevote.org, is AJ. I see Frank has motivated you. God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mark. I've been listening to these young ladies speaking about their organization, and you had somebody on last week also.
Yes.
About this organization.
Yeah, Kat was Kat. Kat was here last week. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was planning to make a $50 donation as soon as I get off the phone and into my office. But after my experience with Frank, I'm going to make a $100 donation. 50 for me and 50 for Frank.
Thank you, Frank, so much. It means so much to us. Thank you for calling in, and
Frank
thank you,
just helped
AJ.
us. We're going to make sure people get. AJ, thank you. Go to spreadthevote.org and make that donation. You're in Texas, so you obviously know some of what politic Christina's talking about, right?
Oh God, I do know. When I went to get a passport for the very first time, I was bored in the border area. And because I did not have the long form of my birth certificate, they would not give me a passport.
Yep.
I had to pay money to have it delivered to me from Austin, Texas, before I could get a passport.
Yep.
And I said, well, I had a wallet-sized birth certificate that had the raised seal of the state of Texas, all the legal documentation was in place, but it wasn't the long form.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, it was a pain.
It is. Well, AJ, you should come volunteer with us in Texas. We'd love to have you.
Okay, yes, I would. I'm in Houston.
Oh, that's where Christina is. We've got a chapter there.
How do they get in touch with you?
You can go to spreadthevote.org/volunteer, and you can just click on the Texas link. Christina's email is there, and you can get all sorts of information. We'd love to have you come volunteer with us.
Okay, I'll be doing that as soon as I get into my office and log on the computer.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that play. That's $100, folks. We want you all to match that. in Frank's name, please, ma'am, please, sir, 866 Sirius, 866-997 4748. Christopher in Alabama. Christopher, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. Christopher, can we count on you for a donation to spreadthevote.org today?
Yes, sir. I'm not sure I'll be able to make the $100 donation, but I'll talk with my wife as soon as I get into the office, and we'll see if we can get $50 on that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I thoroughly enjoyed one of the comments that Frank said, and unfortunately I don't have radio going while I'm in the car trying to make a call, so I don't know if somebody mentioned this, but you said it takes an ID to get a job, and Frank was like, what, you don't think people make money under the table? All right, you don't want people to work legally so that they can go buy their ID to get a legal job. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out because he said that, but I was already laughing so hard that I didn't get a chance to respond. And that was, that's always sort of the amazing thing about these roundabout arguments is that because we are complying with the laws that they really want to see in place, they don't actually have any logical arguments to make against us. So they say things like, well, they're working illegally anyway.
Right. And he got to argue with me anyway. He just got to, they got to manufacture something because you cannot agree. Just cannot agree. That's what people like Frank are all about. But Christopher, please, get with the missus. You can help someone. See, if the average cost is $40, if everybody just get $40, you can help one person. That's one less than the other 21 million that don't have. We have a lot of ground to cover, folks, in order for this to happen. So, Christopher, please, we appreciate that donation, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care now.
Day.
All right, you do the same. 866-99 Sirius. Les is also in Texas. Les, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. Go right ahead. You're on the air with Kat and Christina of spreadthevote.org. We need that donation. Les, would you be willing to make a donation to help someone get photo ID to vote?
No.
Why not?
I just, if they can't work without an ID, how are they living? Can't they pay for it with a welfare check?
No. So, I would recommend doing a little bit of research on how public assistance works. I think that would answer some of your questions. But the fact is that it's a very hard life. We ask people all the time who haven't had ID for years, sometimes for decades, how have you lived? And, a lot of times we're meeting people who are in homeless shelters. They've been living on families' couches. People survive. People have been surviving under tough circumstances in this country since day one. And people find ways to survive, but it's not living, it's survival.
Celeste, you don't want poor people to vote, correct?
No, I want anybody that's eligible to vote to vote.
I'm sorry. Okay, then help poor people. Then help poor people get IDs. Then Les, they're poor. Costs money to get ID. All right. Help poor people. If you want everybody who's eligible to vote, help poor people get IDs. Can you do that, please, and make a donation to spreadthevote.org? Why don't you do that, Les? That'd be the good thing to do. That'd be the right thing to do. Huh?
I doubt it.
Why? Why can't you make? Do you not have any money?
No, I don't have any money for that.
But why can't you help?
I'm trying to make a living myself.
Right. So then, wait a minute now. If you don't have $40 to help someone get a photo ID, why do you assume that other people have $40 to go get the ID in the first place? Huh? Why?
I don't think it's that important to. If they can't come up with $40 and do the thing and get an ID, I just find it very amazing that people do not have IDs.
Costs money.
I mean, how do you
you don't have $40. You don't have. If you needed to get one today, all right, it costs $40. You say you don't have $40. You couldn't get it.
And you're completely right. It's remarkable, and it's a big problem, right? And there are a lot of countries where they have national ID cards, and everyone has one. But we put so many barriers in place.
That's right. Because we don't want nobody to have.
You're right. It is shocking that people don't have IDs. Not 11% of this country, 21 million eligible people, don't have photo ID. It's a shocking, horrifying number, and it's because we put so many barriers in place, and we make it so difficult in this country. And it doesn't have to be. We could follow many, many other countries who make it very easy for everyone to have an ID so that this problem doesn't exist. We don't do that here. We make it as difficult as possible. And that's why that number is so shocking. And that's why it's so hard. You're right. It's because it's so difficult to get an ID in this country, and it shouldn't be, but it is. And so we have to do our part as fellow citizens to help people who are facing these enormous challenges.
Let's think about it. Spend that $40, help somebody, do some kind for somebody. We have to do that sometimes. We have to look out for our fellow woman and man. Lee's in Florida. Lee, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. You're on the air with Kat Calvin and Christina Sanders, Politics, spreadthevote.org. Lee, would you make a donation to help someone get photo ID, please?
As soon as I get off the phone, I'm donating $50, Mark.
Thank you, Lee.
You and I have had this conversation before, Mark. We know this is all about suppressing the vote of certain people.
That's right.
Yes.
This is not about the integrity of the voting, the electorate. This is about suppressing the vote of certain people. And it's one thing that Frank and Les and the Republicans, one thing about it, they don't want to govern. They want to rule by any means necessary. They want to maintain power. Frank and Les, they probably got stock in the jelly bean jars because I'm sure they'd like to bring that back at the voting places.
How
for
many
certain people?
How many jelly beans in a jar?
Yep.
Exactly.
How many bubbles in a bar of soap? That kind of stuff.
Now,
How high is up? He's asking. How high is up? That's a question.
If this ID thing was so important to them, they would take some of that $1 trillion in this tax cut that they just gave to the wealth and corporations and extend it to the states to supply IDs for free.
Hello.
Yep.
Just give everybody ID. That's what you want everybody to give everybody a voter
Exactly.
ID then.
Right.
Give everybody a photo ID for free.
Yep.
Our tax dollars already paying for them anyway.
Listen, through high schools or through local colleges, once a person turns 18, they should be able to go into the administration office and get an ID.
Yes, exactly.
There's just no doubt about it. Voting is a right. It should be free. Should not cost you a penny to have to vote.
But Lee, you just also heard Christina say that's not even true for our veterans. That we don't even value our veterans enough to see to it that they have a permanent photo ID.
Well, I think we know if we look at this country that we don't value our veterans.
That's right.
And
That's
never
right.
have.
No, we
I
never
mean,
have.
I'm an Army brat, and my whole family has served in the Army since the beginning of time, and we do not value our veterans.
No.
Lee, I am going to plug that we are operational in Florida and would love to have you volunteer.
Ooh.
Well, please, I'm going to go to your website. When I find information on where to volunteer there?
Yes, you will. You can go to spreadthevote.org/volunteer or /Florida. Our state director there is Gina Miles. She's amazing. And we have chapters all over the state and are launching more, so you can find a local place and get involved. We'd love to have you.
Well, you got my $50 and a volunteer.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Spreadthevote.org.
Take
All
care,
right.
guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Lee.
you.
Appreciate your support. 866-99-SERIOUS. Carl's in PA. Carl, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. You're on the air with Kat and Christina. Spreadthevote.org. Carl, can we count on you for a donation today to help someone get photo ID?
Yeah, not a big one, but you can count on me.
Thank you, Carl. Every
Every
bit
little
helps.
bit counts, Carl.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to start off with one question. Why do you need an ID?
To vote or for life?
No, to vote.
Because it's voter suppression. You know, the claims that they make is that it prevents voter fraud, but every study on the planet, even the ones presented by the people who support voter ID laws, have shown that in-person voter fraud is not an issue that happens in this country, but it prevents the 11% of people in this country who don't have ID, who are overwhelmingly low income, people of color, students, the elderly. They tend to vote in a certain way, in the way that this country is moving, and the people who are in power need to stay in power. And so there's tons of video of mostly, but not all, Republican politicians who say on video all the time, we have to stop people from voting. The only way we can stay in power is with these ID laws, with, extreme gerrymandering, with all of these different laws, because they know that it's the only way for them to stay in power. So it's purely a poll tax. It's purely to prevent people from voting. And it works. It works very well.
And it's
Yeah,
not an accident either.
All the Googling I've done shows that the voter fraud as opposed to election fraud is almost really rare. And there was one study that showed that there was a lot of voter fraud, but it had been completely debunked.
Yep.
And then the second comment I want to make is that yeah, some states it may not be too hard to get an ID, but other states it's unreal. I think Virginia, if you can't, how many people have their birth certificates still after 40, 50 years? I mean,
Right.
and then you got to get a copy of that, and
Yep.
the red tape, and then the $40. Well, to most people, $40 is disposable income. But if you don't even have to be in the inner city. If you just don't have, there's many people it goes right down to the penny every month. You
Yep.
don't have $40.
Yep.
You can't get blood from a stone.
And you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to pay to vote. But we know what this is about.
Right.
What's the situation in Pennsylvania where you are?
Oh, Pennsylvania's great. They don't have any voter ID.
No,
laws.
but yeah, okay. So you're all good.
We like Pennsylvania.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but listen, man. Whatever you can give is what we need, man. We need to help everybody get this photo ID. Okay.
And he's right on the
Okay.
birth certificate thing. That's one thing that most people don't think about. In some small towns, like in Texas especially, some people weren't born in hospitals. And so if you need a birth certificate, like back to a certain date, it's very challenging and possibly impossible in some cases to get a birth certificate, depending on your age, depending on where you were born,
Right.
and if those documents were even available.
Yeah, and if you're black and born during Jim Crow, I mean, we have a lot of people, especially in Georgia, who are much older and they're black and they were born in a time when black babies weren't born in hospitals and given birth certificates, and they never needed one until now. And you
Yeah.
can't get one. We have to go through this absurd process in order to even get them any kind of identification. Because if you
Right.
never had one, they're not going to print one up for you 90 years later.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to ask you,
Mhm.
and I'm not even sure about this, but what is there truth in the idea that in predominantly black voting districts, for example, they are closing certain DMVs or closing them on Saturdays?
Oh,
making it harder
absolutely.
for people?
Absolutely. And so in states like Alabama, at the same time that they passed voter ID laws, they closed DMVs across the state in predominantly black areas. We have a chapter in rural Virginia where the DMV is on the other side of the county and it's only open one Wednesday a month for like 4 hours. Like, they do a lot of those types of things. They don't keep them open on Saturdays. They do as much as they can to prevent people from even being able to get there. 10 million people live more than 10 miles from their DMV, which if you don't have an ID, you don't have a car. And most places, especially most rural areas, don't have great public transportation. So even getting there is a challenge, which is why we provide transportation. And if you are in a wheelchair and you need to get to a DMV, like, we have to rent sometimes private transportation for people so they can have some accessible way to get to the DMV and then to the polls, because there isn't an option for them. So yeah, it's absolutely true, and it's done. I mean, it's been proven at this point that it's done intentionally.
You can go on spreadthevote.org to make your donation, Carl. Also, see photo ID laws by state. For those of you who may not even be aware of what the requirements are in your particular state. So please do that. But Carl, listen, appreciate your donation.
you, Carl.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, man.
I hope
Thank you so
Frank's
much.
listening.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care now.
Have a good day.
You too. 866-99. 20 minutes before the hour. This hour just flies by. Greg's in Texas. Got a lot of calls from Texas
Love it.
today. Christina, they know you're here. Greg, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. What say you, Greg? Need you to make a donation to spreadthevote.org, Greg.
Not happening.
Why not?
Not happening at all.
Why not?
Well, you know what? If they need the $40, I guess they just have to go away without their cell phone for the week or the month. Okay, use that money to pay for the photo ID. Seems like they all have cell phones.
Who is they?
That
What
costs
they?
money.
What they are you speaking of?
Every kid out there. I don't see a kid out there who doesn't have a cell phone.
Right. I'm
What kids are
I'm
you talking
confused
about?
about everything you're saying. All the words
If,
coming out
if
of
they
your
can
mouth.
afford it, if they can afford a cell phone, they can afford a voter ID.
I think we're still confused about the they.
Well, I mean, one, that's not true, and
Right.
two, a cell phone is not in the Constitution of the United States of America. That's their right.
I'm
to
saying
vote.
if they can
No.
afford a cell phone, they can afford to go get an ID.
Okay. Well, and a couple
Put
of
your
things. I
priorities
mean,
first.
I think it's helpful to point out that the vast majority of people with whom we work don't have phones, and so that's a big piece that I think is helpful
I
here.
think that's wrong.
It is
that's
wrong. They should all have
incorrect.
phones.
You know
You,
it.
you don't know that, Greg. You're stereotyping.
I mean, I can't.
You know
I'm
that
not
access to
stereotyping
her.
anybody.
You are. She's just
Look
saying.
at 'em.
No.
Look at 'em.
Let's look at who. Look at
Go
who.
anywhere. Go to the malls. Go to the streets. They all got the cell phones.
But listen to this.
Take
though.
the cell phone payment for 1 month and go get a photo ID.
But listen, stereotyping, Greg. She just said a grown adult just told you that the people she works with don't have cell phones. Is there not for you to come behind her and say that that's not true?
Oh, and she knows it.
No, you
You could call me a
are
liar.
a racist dog and a pig. Now let me try this one more time.
You are a racist dog and a pig, and you know it.
You
Everything
are
you
you
look
are
at
you
is
are
racist.
you are a
You can't
piece.
look through
See,
anything unless
Greg,
it's
you are
racist.
another example. That's why we need this money,
You
y'all.
are nothing but a racist.
That's why we
You
need
hear
this
me?
money, y'all.
You are nothing but a racist.
Because of
Mr. Racist Pig.
because
go
of
ahead.
drooling
Go bless somebody and then tell them
drooling
to go to
people
hell,
like
you
Greg.
racist pig.
See, Greg, I'm sure probably back in the day would have been involved in a lynching. Just listen to the sound of his voice. I'm sure he would have been. Did you just laugh? Were you? Are you saying you involved in a lynching? Did you just say that, Greg? Huh? Now we're gonna try this one more time. We're gonna try this one more time. She says the people you are. That's exactly what you are. That's exactly what you are. You profiling kids. You're profiling kids. You're profiling kids in malls.
Suppressed and hard up and suppressed because you're black, huh? You should go down and condemn your Lord, your God, because he made you black. All right, that's the way you feel, Mr. Racist Pig.
Are you okay?
Anyway, y'all, this is why we need y'all to make donations to spreadthevote.org. We need you to make donations to spreadthevote.org. Because in honor of Greg, in honor of Frank, and in honor of Greg.
Yes.
This is in your state now. Most of these calls coming from your state.
It's like 5 a.m. and Greg did not wake up on the right side of the
Yeah, what
bed.
time is it in Texas?
Greg's night is ending.
Yes.
Oh, it's right.
That's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is.
He's on the way home. He's headed home from the spot. Connie's in New York. Connie, God bless you. Good morning. Get ready. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. Go right ahead, Connie. Connie, we need your money, please. We need some money. We need to get everybody some photo ID.
Yeah, I will be donating.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to say some of these people are just so heartless. I just can't get over some of the people that are calling.
They're Trumpsters.
You know, it actually, one thing that I have felt since I started this and since the election, even beforehand, is just how incredibly grateful I am that I was raised by people who believe in education and compassion and open-mindedness, which I didn't understand how rare that was until I started discovering trolls. But it really is just, they just weren't raised to care about people and to read and to really understand how the world works. And I think it just makes me incredibly grateful for my mother and my grandmother and understanding my history and being taught that it's our responsibility to care for people. Because it's just not how these people were raised.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, how many people have you helped so far?
We have helped over 250. It increases every day, so I never have an exact number. I actually get their IDs, and we have about 300 who are in the pipeline. It takes like 3 to 4 weeks to get an ID, so there's always people in the pipeline who were working
this don't
through
even
the
happen
process.
overnight.
Oh no, it takes about 3 to 4
long
weeks.
process.
Yeah, on average. Sometimes a little longer. Every once in a while we get lucky and someone's quick, but it's usually 3 to 4 weeks.
You have to love dealing with bureaucracy too.
Our volunteers are amazing. I'm sorry,
are they
Connie.
mostly from red states?
So 34 states in the country have voter ID laws, and then 20 require photo ID. I think it depends on sort of what you mean by red state, because the vast majority of states in this country have either Republican governors or state legislatures or both. So voter ID laws, like New Hampshire has photo ID laws, but so does Texas and Alabama. We currently are in Georgia, Florida, Texas, Virginia, and Tennessee. We'll launch in more in 2019. But the majority of states in this country have voter ID laws.
So if we can get Democrats to get control, is there something they can do to fix all this?
No, because it's state by state laws.
Well, right. So Well,
So we
no,
get
that's actually not
Democrats in
necessarily
those
true.
states.
Okay.
So the big thing that Congress can do, whether it's Democrats or whether it's Republicans who care about the Constitution, is the Voting Rights Act was struck down in 2013 by the Supreme Court. Like the main teeth of it, which is why we have all these laws, which is why we have more and more extreme partisan gerrymandering and a lot of other issues, is because we no longer have a fully functioning Voting Rights Act. That actually is something that Congress can take care of nationally. They can reestablish Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, Section 2, the pieces that are, are toothless now. They can give us back control. They can give the Department of Justice oversight again. Then, of course, we need a Department of Justice that cares about voting rights and civil rights. But Congress actually has a lot of power here. And what we need desperately is for the Voting Rights Act to be given its full force and power again. And that is something that Congress can do.
That is a good point. That's right.
So
I forgot about that.
this doesn't look too promising with the appointee that Trump has going for Supreme Court then.
Well, and this is why elections matter. Yeah, because we've seen that Kavanaugh is not. I'm the biggest proponent of voting rights. We obviously know where the rest of the justices stand. We've seen what just happened with the Supreme Court, and they're saying that Ohio purging voters was perfectly legal, and so the way the Supreme Court stands right now and looks to stand, it's not particularly friendly to voting rights. But again, this is something that Congress can take care of.
Yeah, you're right. Connie, spreadthevote.org. I'm sorry.
Mark, I wanted to say to you, I seen you on MSNBC. I've been listening to you for about probably 3 years, and I finally put a face to the voice, and you're a very good-looking man.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you. I don't think Brittany heard that. Thank you, Connie.
Thank you so much.
Although, as Connie said, most people usually tell me they're disappointed when they see what I look like. But I appreciate
where
you.
do I send this?
Spreadthevote.org.
Yes, ma'am. Spreadthevote.org/donate. Thank you so much.
Is that a secure?
Yes, ma'am. We're very big on security. Trust me.
Thank you, Connie.
Thank you.
Thank you, God bless.
.org.
Spreadthevote.org.
Yes, ma'am.
Spreadthevote.org.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
Christy, right before I go to break, Christy, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. Christy, you going to make a donation for us today? Spreadthevote.org, please. Yes.
Yes, sir, Mark. That gentleman that called earlier, I'm in South Florida where you have to have an ID.
Yes.
So I would, when I get on the line and when I get to work, and make a $40 donation for that fella that called in that needs to pull his head out of his ass and realize what's going on in
Poor
the world.
Greg.
So
Poor Greg.
I got to get to work.
Thank you,
I gotta
Christy.
Get to work, but
Thank you,
keep doing
Christy.
the good work.
Thank you. And you know what? We're in South Florida and would love to have you volunteer. So definitely check out the Florida page on our website.
Yes, ma'am. I'll check it out. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Christy. Folks, we got to take a quick break. See how quickly this hour goes. This hour's almost gone.
Wow.
Spreadthevote.org. We'll come back and get a few more calls. Appreciate the pledges. Hope you all are going online, making donations, helping people get to vote. And see, we take those calls these young ladies are doing the real hard work, dealing with these bureaucracies. What I do is easy. Coming in here every morning arguing with racist white folk, that's easy. That is not the same as helping people get birth certificates, photo ID, and all of that. That is really hard work, and I admire them greatly for doing that. I hope you all admire them as well. Give to this cause, spreadthevote.org. We'll get to more calls when we return. 10 minutes before the hour. Sirius XM Progress 127. Resistance Radio. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. This is MIP.
I stay woke.
Those of you watching on our social media, hope you've appreciated hearing from these young ladies. We're going to come back live on the radio in just a moment or two, but please, please, please give to spreadthevote.org. Help people get photo ID so they can vote this November. That is very, very important. Spreadthevote.org. And in your state, volunteer. There's something else you can do. We know people phone bank for their favorite candidate. You can also help them help others, help Kat and Christina help others get photo ID to vote. So please, ma'am, please, sir, we appreciate that if you would. If you can't, if you have no money to give, perhaps you can give your time and volunteer if you would, please.
Get ready for impeachment.
Approaching top of the hour, 866-99 series. They hadn't heard Maxine's greeting, so there it is. Maxine's your rep.
She is my rep. I'm very lucky.
She's
I'm never
wonderful.
moving. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yes.
Her birthday was last week.
I
Maxine
know.
turned 80 years old. Can you believe that?
No, she doesn't look it.
Black don't crack, y'all.
Nope. I celebrate every time I get to vote for her. It's like, check out, hey, Maxine.
Folks, need your money, your pledges. Spreadthevote.org. Let's help get people photo ID. Just a few more moments left. Let's see. Rich is in Georgia, where they have strict photo ID in Georgia. We got to get Stacey Abrams elected, so this is critical in Georgia. Rich, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. Go right ahead.
Yes, good morning. Hey, I'm a New York transplant to Georgia, and they do everything in front of your eyes. Right now, what's happening is all these little towns, I'm from Athens, and they're closing 3 polling states quietly in Athens. But this is happening all over Georgia.
Yep. It is,
And
I'm gonna say first we have a chapter in Athens and would love to have you volunteer. I know I'm
it's the first time I'm hearing about it, and I will volunteer.
Thank you. That'd be amazing.
Spreadthevote.org.
If you go to spreadthevote.org, you can go on our Georgia page. Fallon McClure is our amazing state director there and can get you set up with our Athens chapter. And you're right,
Excellent.
they're closing polling stations all over the state.
Yeah, it's really sad, and we need to really break these supermajorities up. That's what's really hurting us.
Yeah, I got to do it. Rich, go to spreadthevote.org/volunteer if you have a few dollars to
Thank
give.
you.
We'd appreciate that as well. Thank you, ladies, for coming in
Thank
early
you.
this morning.
No, this
Sorry
was
I
fun.
had to act out a little bit.
It was a blast. Thank you very, very much for having us.
And we're going to continue to support you in every way we can.
Thank you.
Let us know. If you don't hear from us, you always feel free to reach out.
We will.
Admire you for the work you're doing. Folks, this is real work, and this is hard work, and I admire these queens for doing it. So you all support them as best you can. Spreadthevote.org. I know people don't have a lot of money sometimes. Just give a little bit. You know, every donation helps, and or volunteer. Yes. That's what we would love to have you do. Okay.
Thank you.
Polichick, good to see you.
Thank you.
Headed back home to Houston?
Yes.
All right. Kat, good to see you.
You too.
Thank
you so much.
We'll be in touch. Folks, we'll take it back to April Ryan's going to join us with her new book, Under Fire. Sirius XM Progress 127, Resistance Radio. Get woke, get ready for impeachment. This is MIP.